Hello everyone and welcome to episode 2 of the King of the Queen show. I am so excited to be here with you all today, and I'm even more excited for today's episode because we have some great things in store. The main discussion for today is going to be on a topic that I am so incredibly passionate about, and I think it's so critical and important to our mental health. We're going to be talking about healing the inner child. Now, if you do not know what that is, no worries, because we're going to get deep into it. I'm so excited. So thank you for clicking on this video. Do not forget to subscribe, of course. Now, without further ado, enjoy this live performance and enjoy the rest of the episode because it's going to be fucking awesome.
Txmmy on the beats.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yeah. Da 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 da. Yeah. Kina. Da 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 da. Lately, I've been feeling somewhat kind of anxious. I just don't fit in with people. I've changed. I can see right through all their intentions. They're fake, so fake, trying to move with grace. Yeah, but I still feel the hatred, carrying all the pain others have projected. I just can't escape my own self-reflection, and I can't entertain false sense of connection. I just cannot relate to people with no shame, people with no shame for trauma they create, and others with no say. I guess it's just human nature to dismiss anything major. That's just what our parents favored. My emotions never mattered. Now they wonder what's the matter. I'm bipolar, my mind's fractured. You taught me about the rapture, but not how to deal with actual feelings. I have got so many fucking feelings, trying to learn how to release them safely. Gotta learn before I have this baby. Believe. I just cannot relate. I can't relate to people with no shame. They've got no shame. No, for trauma they create, and others with no say. You really fucked me up. You really fucked me up. That really fucked me up. That really fucked me up. But I'm still enough, yeah.
Okay guys, so today we are talking about healing the inner child. What is the inner child? Most of you have probably heard the term. It's become kind of popular when people talk about psychology or mental health, or if you're someone who has maybe dipped their toe into the realm of spirituality, you may have heard about the inner child. Now, what is the inner child? It's more of a modern concept, but believe it or not, one of the fathers of psychiatry, Carl Jung, kind of came up with the idea, but he didn't call it the inner child. He actually referred to it as the divine child archetype. So Carl Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist. He basically founded analytical psychology. So a lot of therapists today, like they had to study Carl Jung in school. At least that's what I've been told, right? So he basically introduced these concepts like the archetypes, which are not necessarily characters. I used to think they were characters, but it's more like a pattern of human behavior that he said existed in what he referred to as the collective unconscious. What is the collective unconscious? It's basically like a realm that exists in our psyche, and this is just my interpretation, a realm that exists in our psyche that we all share, but we're not conscious of it. And this part of your mind has archetypes, which on the surface level, they might seem like characters, like you have the mother, the hero archetype. You may have heard about this ideology, right? But then there is the divine child archetype, or what Carl Jung called the divine child archetype, which is very similar to the inner child, the modern idea of the inner child. So this part of the psyche is a part of us that some would say is the most truest part of you. It is your true self. It is the purest part of you, and it's very relevant even when you are an adult, and I'm going to get into why. So everybody has an inner child, right? And the inner child is responsible for like imagination, creativity. Like there's so many positive aspects, right? You remember that feeling when you were a kid and like you looked at the world so differently. You were so curious. You asked so many questions. Maybe you liked to paint or color, and you were just always playing, engulfed in the present moment. It almost seemed like nothing could go wrong. Your inner child was just free and, in a sense, almost just perfectly whole. But it's not always that way, right? At least that sensation doesn't last for long. Speaking of inner child, my child is moving in my womb right now. So he is very much awake. But yeah, so your child self, your inner child, it is responsible for joy and creativity, imagination. But of course, like most of us, we've all experienced trauma in our childhood. So there comes a point where your inner child experiences distress or feelings of abandonment. The first time you figure out adults can lie, the first time someone makes you feel neglected, or maybe a parent makes you feel like your feelings don't matter. Maybe you are crying and they say, stop crying, just invalidating your feelings. So all of this has an effect on your psyche, on your inner child, right? Now it's not just playing outside, tag or freeze tag or hide and seek. Now it's like, whoa, the world is scary, and sometimes the people I love can hurt me. And that has such an effect on your body, because now your brain is learning how to process these experiences that happen externally, internally. And that is where you get this cognitive dissonance in how you see the world, because on one end, You can have parents that make you feel like they love me, and then something happens and you question that love and you feel like, well, if they love me, why would they allow this to happen? Or why would they treat me this way? And it creates that fragmented reality internally. And the thing about the inner child is that when you have these traumatic experiences happen to you as a child, whether it's sexual abuse or verbal abuse or feeling isolated or getting bullied, whatever it is, right? Or even traumatic experiences like getting in a car accident, whatever the case, this all plays a role in your nervous system because the body stores trauma, right? And your nervous system is responsible with your stress response, how you react to the external world. Now, why is this important today as an adult? Why are we still talking about the inner child? Because the inner child still exists in a sense. It doesn't mean necessarily that there's like a little kid inside of you, but it means that your nervous system is still reacting as if it were a little kid. And this is why you might attract certain relationships. You might be a people pleaser. You might be just obsessed with external validation. You might be a perfectionist. You might shut down when you're feeling emotional. You might not feel comfortable enough to express your emotions because that's what you learned as a kid was, it's not okay to express my feelings. So this is important because even when we are adults, the inner child is still very much alive in how we respond when we are in stressful situations or when our brain senses a threat or gets triggered. Your inner child is coming out, and even in your relationships. And I don't know about you, but I've definitely asked myself, why do I keep attracting the same type of people into my life or the same type of romantic partners? And it's because there is so much healing that needs to happen behind the scenes. Now, here's the thing about the brain. The brain is such a multifaceted, complex structure, and we still don't understand it, right? But that makes it so much more fascinating and terrifying, of course. Don't get me wrong. As someone who has her diagnoses, I have been terrified of my brain, and it wasn't until I dove deep into psychology and how the brain tries to protect itself that I realized your brain is like not just experiencing time in a linear sense, but it's keeping track of memories, it's filtering some out, and sometimes we still live in the past, we're projecting into the future. Our brain is all over the place. Your brain is literally a sponge, okay? There's so much information going on 24/7, and your brain is just filing through the papers and sorting what's important and what's not. So when you're a kid, so much is happening because your brain is learning. It's learning how to survive, how to adapt, how to fit in, how to feel like they're loved and accepted, what they need to do, how they need to act to fit into that tribe, their tribe, right? Because your life depends on it. If you don't fit in, it's for your brain, it's like, oh, you're dead. So the brain learns. It learns through trauma. It learns how to adapt. But then it becomes so detrimental and to our mental health, right? Because now you're stuck in these reoccurring patterns of human behavior and you don't know why. You're acting from a place of not being conscious And there comes a point where you're asking yourself, why? Why does this happen? Why do I keep putting myself in this situation? And it all goes back to your brain, the nervous system, trauma, the inner child. Becoming conscious and aware of those things is so key if you want to change your life and become conscious, aware, and make a decision to rewire your brain. That's what this is about, okay? We're not gonna just sit here and bitch about our brain because it's stuck in survival mode or protective mode or self-sabotage mode, whatever the case, right? Or a combination of all of that. We are here to rewire our brains. The prefrontal cortex is kind of in charge of making sense of it. It keeps track of time. But then the amygdala is in charge of like how it responds to stress and fear. And all of this is connected to your nervous system because your nervous system is responsible for the flight or fight or rest and digest. So there is the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is responsible for flight or fight. So that's basically, oh, I'm threatened right now. Do I run away or do I fight? And then the opposite, the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for rest and digest. And that's like that calm sensation, you know, peace. Everything's all good. I get to relax. But the nervous system is so important. So important because you're not really conscious of how your nervous system reacts. You might be in a place, like maybe you're in a social setting and maybe you get immense anxiety and you don't even know why. But it's because your nervous system, your body has already sensed a danger, and it might be linked to your childhood. But you don't know why. You're not conscious of it. But your body remembers. Your nervous system remembers. It's like, oh shit, I've been here before. I'm freaking out, I'm getting anxiety, I'm sweating, about to have a panic attack. And maybe it's linked to a memory that you completely forgot about. Maybe you were in a social setting once and something bad happened that made you feel isolated or neglected. I'm just making up a scenario, okay? So the brain doesn't store emotional experiences in time. Your logical brain, the prefrontal cortex, it understands yesterday, today, and years ago. But the emotional brain, your amygdala and your limbic system, does not. It does not. When something reminds you of a past experience, your emotional brain reacts as if it's happening right now. That is so crazy. This is why your childhood wounds show up in adulthood. Because to the emotional brain, it's like, if it happened back then, it can happen now. Now, trauma and emotional learning are stored in the nervous system, not just in your memory. We store emotional conditioning in the vagus nerve, muscle tension, breathing patterns, stress hormones, reflexes, and learned responses. This means that your body remembers. Your body remembers what your mind forgot. That's why you can feel unsafe for no reason. Your body can panic before your brain even understands what's going on. Even the tone that people use with you can trigger you. And that's also why certain people can feel familiar in a good or a bad way. You know, a lot of spiritual people like to say, oh, we must have met in a past life. I've said that before. But It might be more scientific than that. They could just remind you of something you've already experienced. Sorry, twin flames. So the inner child is basically an emotional blueprint that was created in your childhood. Again, it's not a literal child. It is a pattern of emotional learning. So when we're young, and kids, obviously, when we're young, and the kids today, they're learning how love works. They're learning how people respond. They're learning what gets them punished, what gets them ignored, what gets them rewarded, how to get their needs met, how to stay safe. And these patterns get encoded so deeply because they were repeated, they were emotional, and they were connected to survival. The inner child is essentially younger emotional wiring still running in the present moment. So why does the brain do this? Because the brain is learning early patterns as survival instructions. Like I said, we gotta fit into the tribe. Our life depends on it when we're children. The brain is basically saying to you, this worked when I was 4 years old, so I'm gonna keep doing it until you tell me otherwise. Who's you? Your present self. So how do we rewire our brains then, if that's the case? There's so many things, right? First of all, becoming what you needed as a child. So obviously we all have an inner voice. So there comes a point where you need to validate yourself. You need to check yourself. You need to check your internal dialogue. You got to check your brain sometimes. You got to say, hey, I understand why you feel that way, because it's linked to your past experiences, right? Again, validating your emotions. You don't want to repress your emotions. You don't want to say, hey, that's stupid. You want to always speak kindly to yourself, to your inner child, right? Think of it as a child. So what would you say? If you were a healthy parent, what would you say? You would say, it's okay to feel how you feel. But that's not the case anymore. We're adults now. We're adults, and you are safe and you are worthy. And I'm not going to let anything happen to you. Become the parent you needed. If you had parents who neglected you, your parents' apology is not going to make you feel better. It's not going to heal you. Believe me, I know. I thought I just wanted my parents to say sorry and take accountability. But no, the hurt, the damage is already done. Now I have to heal myself. I have to be like, hey, you didn't deserve that. And I'm sorry you went through that. And I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to protect you. It may sound crazy, but it's not. Okay? Because if you don't do that, you're going to just spend your life obsessed with not only resenting the people who hurt you, but trying to get them to take accountability. And even if they did, it can't change anything because you still have that hurt. You still carry those wounds, and your nervous system is still responding to life as if you were 7 years old, 4 years old, whatever the case. So when it comes to rewiring our brain, you have to be your biggest advocate. You have to be what you needed. And not just that. Therapy is so important. Now, when people think of therapy, they think about like, oh, you're just going to sit on a couch and talk to a shrink. They're going to jot down notes. Look, individual therapy is fine. But when it comes to healing trauma that you experienced as a child, talking about it is not going to do anything. I know this because therapy is fine, but I noticed it wasn't really doing anything for me to just go talk to a therapist. It's nice if you need someone to talk to and you want to just vent. That's cool, that's fine. But I knew like there has to be something else. Like I don't want to just talk about what happened to me as a child. I want to get to the root of the issue. I want to heal. So this is something a lot of people don't know, but there are so many different types of therapy. There is EMDR therapy, I believe it's called. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm so intrigued and I want to try it. I am going to ask my therapist about it because I'm pretty sure they do offer that type of therapy as well. And this involves certain eye movements, and it basically teaches your brain how to integrate traumatic experiences in a healthy way. So I feel like that could be a life-changing therapy. Of course, there are other types of therapy. There is group therapy. The group therapy I did, I feel like I learned more there than individual therapy. Of course, there's so many other things you can do. You can look into vagus nerve stimulation exercises. There are many different ways to do this. Disclaimer though, always do your research, because if you are someone with heart problems or diabetes, you have to be a little bit careful. I think a gentle vagus nerve exercise wouldn't be bad for you, but you have to remember it does affect your heart rate, and it can affect your glucose level or how your body processes sugar. So, if you're someone who has diabetes and is sensitive to those highs and lows when it comes to your sugar, you probably want to do some research before doing any type of vagus nerve stimulation. So yeah, there are many types of therapy. There's IFS, EMDR, like I mentioned, trauma-informed therapy, somatic therapy, and inner child work. So if you are someone who has done individual therapy, ask your therapist about it. It does not hurt. See what you think might work for you, or maybe try a few different ones. Try one for a few weeks. See how you feel internally. So what happens when we actually do heal our inner child? Now, I wouldn't say I'm completely healed, but I have definitely seen some change. I think it's going to be a lifelong process, but here are some of the benefits to when you actually get on the path to healing the inner child and acknowledging it and validating it and rewiring your brain. You feel calmer. You feel more emotionally stable. You are less reactive. You're more trusting. You are softer towards yourself. You're less afraid of abandonment. You're more connected to joy. You are creative again, and you are more open to love. The love you actually deserve. Most importantly, you break generational patterns. Because when people traumatize us, it's most likely because they were traumatized and they never did the internal healing. Unfortunately, a lot of our parents that caused us trauma went through some horrible things, and they're basically just passing down what they've been through. And it's so sad, right? Because I feel like when you become a parent, you have a choice. You can make the conscious decision to say, I'm not going to be like my parent. I refuse. And that is the choice that I have made. I'm going to break the generational pattern. I will protect my child. I will make sure my child feels like his emotions matter and he can express them. And I'm not saying I'm going to be a perfect parent, because I'm sure I will have my moments. But I pray, I ask the universe that I will always have the want, the desire to learn from my mistakes and change. I just want to find a way to be better for him, because I don't want to traumatize him. And I don't even know if that's possible, honestly. I feel like trauma, if everyone in today's world that has a kid found a way to break generational trauma, I feel like our kids would still be a little bit traumatized, but it would look so differently. Like, it's not going to be sexual abuse or religious dogma. It's going to be like shitting on them for how many followers they have. Some bullshit. I'm just kidding. Obviously, that's horrible too. Don't do that. And like I said, I probably won't be the perfect parent, but I'm gonna fucking try. I'm gonna get close as fuck. Because of my trauma, now I know exactly what I don't want to do to my child. And maybe that was the only way I could learn and become conscious. And maybe the universe knew that. Or God, or source. All of the above. All right, I think I've ranted enough. So I'm going to end this conversation and we will continue with the episode next segment. Once upon a time, there was a dog. His name was Scooby. He had it all. He had the best cars. He attended the best shows. He even got to meet his favorite comedians. He got his service dog certification. He even roamed the streets for a while, on a leash. He got to meet some of the biggest beings in the animal kingdom, and was completely unfazed. Most importantly, he was the baby to a girl who had loved him for over 13 years. And then, one day, everything changed. She got pregnant. That's right, this little lima bean changed everything. And Scooby knew it was only a matter of time. Scooby had it all. But now, something was missing. They say behind every great man is a woman. Scooby knew what that meant. That meant behind every great dog was a bitch. He couldn't live like this anymore. He couldn't be caged by his own internal need to breed anymore. He had to get out. He started demanding his mother find him a good female dog, aka a bitch. No shade, that's just a scientific term. And then one day his prayers were answered. Coco arrived. It was a hard week. Coco had been abandoned by her previous family after 7 years. It was hard on all of us. Regardless of her history, at first, Scooby was starting to rethink everything. He didn't really like sharing. Nonetheless, Scooby couldn't help but to be intrigued. After all, she was beautiful. She was a spitting image of him. But he had never had to earn someone's love, and she made it very clear he wasn't going to get it from her that easy. The more time he spent with her, the more he grew to admire her. What was once curiosity turned into puppy love? Is that what they call it these days? Whatever it is, I think it's safe to say, by the look in Scooby's eyes and Coco's face, they were meant for each other. And that's the story.
or just the beginning of Scooby and Coco.
All right, guys, for our next segment, we are going to do a guided meditation. And this meditation is to connect with your inner child. Our intention is to speak truth and speak to our inner child and become the voice that it needed. I recommend you get in a comfortable position. Put on some headphones if you'd like. You can sit down or you can lay down. Do whatever you need to do to just feel comfortable and free. Listen to your body. If you want to close your eyes, you are more than welcome to. It might help you tap into the deepest part of you, the purest part of you, the part of you that came into this earth, this dimension, this reality, the part of you that is the divine child archetype or your inner child. So from one inner child to another, I know you most likely have not had it easy. I understand that there were people in your life that let you down. I understand there were people that made you feel neglected and isolated, people that you looked up to when you were a child. I am speaking to your inner child in this moment, and I just want to say, time is irrelevant. Your feelings mattered then, and your feelings matter now. I am here to tell you that it's okay to express how you feel. And what those people did to you as a kid was not okay, because you didn't deserve that. And it was never a reflection of your self-worth. How others treated you as a kid had nothing to do with you. It was a reflection of their internal state. I know it's hard not to take things personal. I know it's hard not to think you're unlovable and not to think that you're worthless, but I'm here to tell you right now, you are so worthy. You are so loved. You deserve love. You deserve to express your creativity. I don't care who told you when you were a kid that you were not gifted enough, that you were not talented enough, that you would never make it, that you didn't have the skill, that you didn't have the money or the resources, because that is a lie. That is something that someone told them. I am here to tell you in this present moment that you can achieve all things. Anything you can dream of, you can achieve. But it starts with believing it, making a conscious decision to rewire your brain and think differently. Take the time to take a deep breath. You can hold that breath for about 3 to 4 seconds. Inhale, hold. Exhale. Inhale. breathe out. Let go of all the things other people have told you. I am here to tell your inner child that it's okay. It's all okay. You are safe now. There is nothing to fear but fear itself. I want you to take the time to focus on your breath. Focus on the sensations in your body right now. Do you feel your belly rising and then dropping? Become aware of the sensation of the air flowing inside of your nostrils and then release it. Exhale through your mouth. The ability to breathe is something we take for granted. I want you to become very aware of it. Take the time to think about your inner child and listen. Do you hear it? What does your inner child need from you? How can you validate it in this moment? Take the time to listen. If the silence makes you uncomfortable, try to appreciate feeling uncomfortable. Try to be okay with the silence. What does your inner child look like to you? Does it look sad when you imagine it? Does it look happy? Is it playing? Is it in a corner? Let this image of whatever you see make you aware of what your inner child needs. Do you need to express your creativity again? Do you need to hug yourself and tell yourself, it's time to get out of that corner? You shouldn't have been there in the first place. Let this be a reminder that regardless of all the time that has passed, you have always mattered, and your past experiences have shaped who you are today, and it's okay. There is nothing wrong with you. Embrace yourself. And I encourage you to make the conscious decision to become who you needed as a kid. This is just the beginning of a new beginning where you validate yourself, where you step into alignment of who you really are. I want you to end this meditation by embracing yourself. Give yourself a hug. I know it sounds silly, but it might make you feel good. That is all, and we are closing this meditation session. Thank you for being present with me. And thank you to your inner child. Alright guys, thank you for watching today's episode. Make sure to comment, subscribe, like, share, all of the above. And if you feel comfortable, let me know how you think your inner child has responded to this episode, or even if you want to trauma dump a little bit in the comments, that's fine too. But yeah, let me know, share your perspective, don't be shy. Thank you for giving me your time and your presence, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you enjoyed the performance, the exercise, and the cute little pet videos of Coco and Scooby, or Miss Piggy. Coco is her previous name, but I still call her it. But I call her Miss Piggy because she sounds like a pig sometimes. Is there anything you want to say, Coco? What do you want to say? Huh? All right, guys, until next week, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.